Welcome to the Divergent AF podcast. I'm your host, Selena Thompson, a late diagnosed ADHD mother on a hashtag journey to unapologetic authenticity. Dive into the rabbit hole realness with me as we overshare unfiltered and relatable stories of what neurodivergent life is really like. Lifting the lid on the honest, hilarious, and heartbreaking topics typically confined to our inner monologue. Get ready to feel seen and heard as we ditch the to-do list, the daily planners, but most importantly, the shame. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Divergent AF podcast. I'm your host, Selena Thompson, and because I know that we all hate small talk, we're just going to jump straight into it. So the topic of the day or the night, depending on when you're listening to this, is shame. Shame was the big driver and the big force of why I started this crazy little side quest, aka the podcast. When I talk to a lot of my friends or people through my Instagram page that I'd started initially before this podcast, the topic on everyone's kind of mind all boils down to shame. And I think it's a shame. See what I did there? For me personally, when I was diagnosed 2.5 years ago, I remember kind of feeling like I had the answer and that I was fixed now. And I mean, I even remember being asked, "Oh, so you're medicated, you've got medication, that was what was wrong with you, and you're fixed, you're good now." And I'm like, yeah, I'm fixed, I'm good now. You know, that's all it is. It wasn't until about a year later, when I was still miserable and dealing with anxiety and every other issue that came along with it, that I really had to pick apart and unravel that it really wasn't as simple as just taking a pill. I think it's a real common theme with those that are late diagnosed, or even those that are early diagnosed, really. And that is a feeling of chronic shame that's almost part of your personality. I mean, for me personally, I always feel like I have this Catholic priest like whipping itself in my brain. Or my other visual illustration is Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones and getting apples and things thrown at her. Shame, shame, shame. Every day. Micro moments of shame that no one else sees or hears, except the voices in your head, except in your head. No one sees it, no one hears it, but I live it. And those are kind of my two visual illustrations. I'm either whipping myself in my brain, or I'm Cersei Lannister, but I haven't cut my hair. I mean, we've all been there, done that with the breakdown. I didn't do that this time. So why is that? Why is that? Because sometimes when you stop and think about what you're actually ashamed about, it's actually really ridiculous, but it's just your go-to. And I think it's come from a lifetime, or sometimes not even a lifetime, of just always being wrong, always getting it wrong, making mistakes, really not meaning to be wrong. I kind of like the analogy of, it's like neurodivergent people are kind of like the big fat waxy crayons you get at the pub trying to colour in a Mandela colouring in page. And, neurotypicals are just those really fine felt tip pens, they're just fresh out the pack, haven't even been used or smushed down, just effortlessly in between the lines, and we're just ripping shit up, just destined to fail. But even though I can laugh and be like, well, I really wasn't going to get that job right, I still have a little micro moment of shame. And I know that talking to a lot of other people through my page, my Instagram page, or just other neurodivergent friends, we're all doing it. And it's funny when we talk about and we share our stories about what we're actually shamed about, because what comes after shame is almost you're really trying to overcompensate and be like, look, I'm a really good human. I may have got that wrong, but I'm going to spend all day doing my penance and proving to my other side of my brain that I'm good. And again, this is quite a silent process that goes on. I want to say the inner monologue. It's not until you get talking to other like-minded people that you realize we're all just traveling through life having the cycle go on in our head. For example, I'm going to give you one of my favorite stories of shame because it's ridiculous shame as well. So I'm over it now. Really. I am. But at the time, it took a while. Okay, so I want to call it Pink Shirt Day. So last year, I was, year one, first kind of experience as a school mum. As anyone knows, it's just a whole new ball game. I mean, you never really know what you're doing anyway, being a parent. But I think, first year in school, it's like, well, we're just going to leave them here and they could walk out the gate. Like, who is this person? Who's that teacher? It's just a lot. So anyway, I know that a lot of people can relate to this, but there's really something about those school emails. I don't know what it is. They're written by a school, but I can't read them or I misread them. I don't know because apparently I went to school too, the same school actually, but I don't know where the disconnect comes from. But whenever there's a school email, I get anxiety because it's like, what am I going to F up now? So anyway, Pink Shirt Day, anti-bullying day, as we know. And, the email would come in the week before, blah, 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 skim, skim, skim. To be fair, it's kind of, it's a novel, right? I mean, personally, I feel like it could have been summed up in about 2 bullet points, but that's just me though. So anyway, skim over it. It's long, blah, 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 blah. And then also, the night before, blah, 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 blah. And then the morning of, okay, I'm going to read it properly, but not read it properly. So anyway, I I don't know. So I want to say it was the wording. The wording could have been a lot clearer. Maybe that's just what goes wrong for us, but the wording of it was I just saw the bold jump out at me. And so I saw pink shirt, I saw pink shoes, I saw pink socks, I saw pink hair tie, and they were in bold. And then collectively, I put ands in between them. I didn't realize that it was actually ors, like or, like all this, all this, all this. I was like, look, you put this all together and you make a pink cake, And so obviously we go full out. If we're going to do something, we're going to go all out. So, it's my daughter's first day doing Pink Shirt Day. But to me, I was like, this is pink everything day. We're going to kill it. We're going to have like a pink sock, pink hair tie, just like the details, right? Real proud. Like she just looked like this shining pink, sparkly unicorn, like the beacon of anti-bullying, really. So anyway, we're driving into school. I was on time. And suddenly I was looking around and I was not seeing any other pink, shiny, sparkly unicorns. And the sinking feeling started to come in of like, I've got the day wrong. That's where my mind went to, I've got the day wrong. So anyway, I start doing my deep breathing because it's mainly because I don't like letting my kids down for my brain F-ups, and I feel it's not fair on them. I don't like them being the odd one out or getting embarrassed because mummy's forgotten it again or mummy's gotten it wrong again. But anyway, I just was slowly creeping in, crawling in the car. But then I did see some pink. It was just kind of, a pink hair tie. I don't think I even saw a pink shirt, mind you. Pink shoes. And then I thought, oh, okay, now I'm really confused. Is this just kind of a half pink day? Like a watercolor pink? Like not like a vivid pink? I pulled up and then I decided I'm going to read the email properly now because this is the time when the email must be read properly. Not a week before, not even the morning before. When we're about to walk into school, this is when I will read it. And that's when it dawned on me that it was alternatives. It wasn't make a pink cake. It was I mean, it actually said at the end of the email, this is not a mufti day. But it wasn't a bold, was it? And it was the end. I mean, I'm just saying. So anyway, I had the choice. I had the choice of making a big deal out of this, or I had a choice of just fake it till you make it. Is that what they say? Is that what those people say? And my view is that I do not want to pass on any anxiety. So I casualize a lot of things, like, oh, we miss that. Oh, that's normal. Everyone misses that. I'm here to casualize the mistakes because I make a lot of them. And I know for me, I was a real perfectionist, anxious perfectionist growing up as a kid. And yeah, I mean, we're all just trying our best, aren't we? This is my best. This is what I think might help. So anyway, my daughter notices that not everyone is looking like her, which is a very quite triggering for me because I know that feeling of being like that in life in general, always the different one. But anyway, I saw her face and I just said, look, you know what's happened? No one has enough pink clothing and no one is as passionate about anti-bullying day as you. No one. So I kind of did it like that. So then anyway, she walked in like a goddamn boss because, she was the queen of anti-bullying day, the beacon, the logo, the image. But then meanwhile, I am running in talking to the teacher saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't read the email. I just said, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I said, but anyway, it was a lot of words pouring out because I instantly felt shame because I had read an email wrong. I know, but this is where we go. And so anyway, I just said, look, I can go back and I can get, half of your uniform and I can make her fit in like everyone else and no one's going to be in trouble. This is just kind of like it's just a conditioned kind of behavior. And then thankfully she goes, no, it's fine. Obviously she saw that this was not a big deal. But then this is the kicker. So, obviously you bring a gold coin. I got out my wallet and I dumped about, I don't know, $10 worth of coins into the bucket, almost like making up for this big faux pas of overdoing it. I was worried about essentially being bullied on anti-bullying day for being the most passionately, boldly dressed on bullying day. I mean, go figure. Honestly, that's just one example that I know it's ridiculous. I mean, I know it, right? And usually these kind of stories are kept to myself or to the DMs, the VM DMs, with a select few. But I know that this stuff happens silently to a lot of people, not in a lot of situations, but that was probably my most that I can think of, just ridiculous. What I think I was going to do, like bribe them, like pay them off. I don't know. But and then the amount of emotional energy that morning took up, I was just pretty much done. Thank God it was Friday though, right? And while a lot of these situations, we don't actually have someone saying anything to us, it could just be a micro expression, a sigh, and a rolling of the eyes, oh, of course, it's just this little confirmation that we know we are wrong or we've effed it up. And I also think what is the tragic thing is sometimes that can be misinterpreted. So what I was also worried about was great, like now I'm going to look like this rebellious, I don't give a fuck mum. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm not there to, be petty and just be defiant like that. I'll choose my moments, you know what I mean? So I think when these things happen to us, there's also this whole thing of the judgment of our character. So, for example, I'm always late. I'm always late to meet friends, and it really actually makes me upset. And not just friends, everywhere. I mean, I've shaved it down to sometimes 5 minutes, but it's never early. And this actually never started happening to me until after I had kids and my life fell apart and I didn't know why. And I realize now I've reached my maximum load that my brain could handle of organization. But every time it happens to me, I feel really upset at myself because I know how it can look. It can look like you don't give a crap about your friend and it's rude, every time. And I feel horrible. And yes, I have tried many ways and many systems to get this to work, but I really feel like sometimes my life is just full of fuckingings. So, for example, on the weekend, we had a birthday party. I was so on point, so together, just about to get in the car. And then, one of them falls over and it's on the concrete and it stings. And I can just envision it. And that set us back 15 minutes. And I'm like, man, that wasn't even my fault this time, but it's just, I tracked it. But just stuff like that. And I know it is so common. And I mean, if you want another example of shame that I've been sitting with just today was this podcast and recording it and releasing it. And it was meant to have been done already. But, things happen. I've got a lot of things that I don't need to be doing that I end up doing. And here we are. So I'm just going to sit here and silently have this little loop in my head about how I just can't get it together. And none of this helps me really. I mean, it doesn't make me happy. And trying to unravel it and rewire it, I think, is going to take a really long time if it can even happen. But I know that this is an all too common experience, is the shame. And I think what it really comes down to is societal constructs about what we should be doing or what we should be or who we should be. How do you measure productivity? What does being productive mean? It's all about billables or folding laundry or getting dinner on the table, eating dinner all together, remembering everything at the grocery store, sending your kid in the right outfit to pink shirt day, reading the school emails properly. All these things that I think are implicitly woven into the society that we're in. And if you're born with our brain, we're really not going to make it. And again, it comes back to the whole big, fat, waxy crayon. The ones that break, but they actually never die. And they can't even get any colour on the paper. It's just wax. In my opinion, if we could ditch the shame part of having a differently wired brain, just being different, I really think that would alleviate so many other resulting kind of issues that can then come about from shame. I think that shame has a lot to answer for. If we can't fix ourselves, we can't change our brain, we're always getting it wrong, we're not meeting the markers, we're not measuring up to the same measuring stick as everyone else, we're just left with shame about who we are. And then what does shame roll into? Shame rolls into, I don't really want to feel this way. It's human nature just to want to ease or numb that shame. And so how do you do that? Well, I can think of a few things. They're not healthy, but you hear about so many studies of, ADHD in particular linked to, substance abuse, addictions, reckless spending, nicotine, because all these kind of behaviors and methods, I think, are coping methods or coping mechanisms. I really do. I believe that. That's just my opinion. And so I just wonder if there was some way that we could remove the shame. I really wonder how much it would impact a lot of other things. And even taking it one step further, I think it would save, a lot of taxpayers' money, because I can think of at least 2 occasions where I have been taken to hospital, being found in a gutter from over use of alcohol. I mean, that's just like a couple of examples, I'm sure they've got other things to be doing than dealing with me. By the way, that was a long time ago. I was a teenager, so I'm I'm fine now. I am a mother and I'm fine, but I just had to put that in there. So just think about it. Imagine all the situations that people have gotten themselves into when really they're just trying to run away from this horrible feeling that they'll never run away from. So I'm not saying that I have the answer to get rid of shame. If anyone does, please send it through on the DMs and I'll share it, please. I don't. And maybe there's never any way to fully get rid of it. But I think a good step in the right direction is somehow shifting the paradigm that we're stuck in. And that is what the world and what society thinks of us. And being labelled as, we need to get rid of the label and the view that we're wrong. I feel like we have one of those Kmart sticky labels and we're on a plastic container. And do you know how hard those labels are to get rid of? And they're a lot of admin, so I don't get rid of them and they just look ugly now. But I feel like it's a big job. I'm not saying it's easy, but I just wonder how much good would come if things could just be alleviated in terms of the perception of neurodivergence, the acceptance, not even just acceptance, but just almost like, wow, you guys are amazing. I just really wonder how much that would flow on and change the world or change, everyone's lives, because I really think there is a flow on effect from everything. The only answer that I do have about shame is that if I'm having a really bad moment, is that what makes me feel better, my friends feel better, is just sharing our really silly stories and realizing that we're all in it together. Even though we're not physically together, we're all running around like these little blind mice making the same mistakes. And if we can just come together and laugh, then honestly, we just move on from it so much quicker. So I hope that listening to some of my embarrassing moments, I mean, this is just the beginning, really. It really is. I hope that this has just made you feel a little bit at peace. So in saying that, I'm going to wrap this up. My vision for the Divergent AF podcast was not to have long episodes, because if you're anything like me, if I go into a podcast and it's over 30 minutes, I'm out. That's a really big commitment. Our attention span, bite-sized chunks, niche, in, and then you're out. So in saying that, I'm out. And I hope you have a really good pink shirt day. And there you have it. Thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of the Divergent AF podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some laughs. I hope you felt better about your own disasters and fuckenings that are happening in your life right now, your own mistakes, your own shame. There's nothing like a good dose of shared shame. And if you're interested in seeing more of my embarrassing life, I have an Instagram page and a TikTok, Is It Just Me Though, that you can follow me on there. Also, if you've got any topic that you would either love to hear or love to overshare, please contact me as well, because I am going to be having future guests with some of the topics that they are so passionate about. I can't wait for you to hear those. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can tune in to the Divergent AF podcast with episodes released every Thursday.